Hey Bundy, you know how cute I always think everybody is. Now we get a chance to hear from them. Hey everybody.
What's up?
It's your girl Lotus, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Bundy.
And we have a special in-studio guest.
Peace, Mafia. What's up, world? My name is Aste, and I'm here with Bundy and Lotus, and we having a good time. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invite.
Welcome to Live, Laugh, Lotus XO.
Live, Laugh, Lotus XO.
And yeah, you're over here spinning the bottle because you're ready to get started. I see you.
Yeah, I didn't want the label that way neither. I'm like, dude, we ain't got no sponsor.
Yeah. Smart. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming down and making time.
Most definitely.
I know how busy life is in LA to get away from all of our adventures and things we're doing.
You ready for the pop?
Of course.
Let's see it.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. Is the pop happening right here this closely?
What are you doing? You're supposed to let it pop.
No, I'm not popping it off into the studio. Ricochet somebody up against the forehead and everything.
That was
at least
such a considerate pop.
Yeah, you know,
that was a considerate.
That was
my house.
almost too considerate, but
This ain't
we'll let
my
it
house.
slide. All right.
Let me pour y'all up though. Let me pour y'all up.
Thank you.
Now what we have right here is
Gracias.
1972
Yeah.
Chateau Limoux.
Do we?
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Well, we're gonna imagine
Let's
that
keep
it
it
is.
fancy.
Thank you.
For the leading lady.
Right there, yes.
And while he is pouring this
Yes.
champagne, go ahead and tell us about how you got started in the music industry, because we're here to talk about music with you today.
Yes. Just let me say thank you again for the opportunity. You know, you're thanking me for coming out, but thank you for giving an independent artist an opportunity to come and share a message, talk about music, and just connect with so many great people. So I really appreciate it.
Can we cheers to that?
Independent artists. Yeah.
Let's cheers to the independent artists. Woo! And let's cheers to Live, Love, Laugh, Lotus.
Cheers to
Oh,
that.
well,
Yeah.
Double cheers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's straight. That's straight right there. That's okay.
I'm
That's
having
okay.
another little sip.
Crispy.
As I tell the people. But yeah, so like I said, my name is Aste. I'm an independent artist. I'm a vocalist first. Came up in a musical family. My dad does music still to this day. He's a vocalist first and bassist. Came up in music, singing around the house. Got into church choirs.
Where were you based out of?
I'm based out of LA. So I'm based out of LA. I was born and raised in the South Bay, you know, Bellflower, Paramount, Compton, Long Beach, wherever you want to, you know, we got peoples all over. But yeah, based in the South Bay of LA.
Love it.
Did some training with Fred Martin with Urban Institute, like as a youngin'. And then around 2015 is when I decided to kind of just take the reins and start to record and produce myself. So, you know, just it made sense to me because, well, two major factors. One, if I'm going to keep paying like $25 an hour, the studio time, I might as well invest in the knowledge, you know what I mean? I might as well invest in myself and, you know, learn how to do this. So
when you say learn how to do this,
yes.
what is the this?
The this is recording yourself. So you're working with a DAW, a digital audio workstation, and you're recording like into an interface. You know, you got your mic, you got your interface, and you're recording into a program. And all of this. And it gives you that freedom. It gives you that freedom as an artist to not be like, I only have 1 hour to track this. You need that time to grow your sound and all of that.
I always wondered how that was booking studio time, like by the hour, because I'm not that much of an artist, like where I make music like that. But
you have your creative.
But yeah, just the creative process.
Right.
I wonder how you guys could squeeze that into just that time limit like that. It must be stressful.
It is stressful because artists flow, and even. You know, the second point, which that takes me perfectly into the second point, it was just like, even if I, you know how to do this and everything, like, or even if I still wanted to outsource the recording, I still wanted to give myself that time to really bleed on the track and get the track down. Any artist, if you're going into the studio, you should already know what you're doing when you go in there. You shouldn't be paying $25 and $35 an hour to go and sit in there and think about what you might want to do to the track. You should go in there like, I'm going to execute. You know, how can you do that? You got to get your GarageBand on. Got to get you a mic. So yeah, that was 2015. Since then, I've been growing. you know, I worked with a lot of acts coming up through LA. I worked with Pac Music. I worked very closely with Lizzie Jeff and Zen and Kush.
Yes,
that's
how
where we kind of crossed paths.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and just like so many people. So the last 2 or 3 years, I've been like heavy into like building my own brand and just exploring.
I'm so excited.
That's me, y'all. Yeah,
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have heard her music, Bunny, but it's very like sensual, female-led.
Sure, I've tried to send some your way. Not sure.
Yeah,
if y'all
you should
got,
definitely
not sure
check
if
it
y'all
out.
got the email. He's like, look, I don't do the A&R.
Where you get my email from?
Like, hey, an independent artist gonna do what an independent artist gotta do.
Who leaked my information?
We gonna find.
I do. Being in the space I am with like some dope for the people. Like I'm always like intertwined with independent artists, like trying to help and focus on.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. You can go ahead and plug that first.
All right, some dope for the people. One of the dopest platforms for independent artists all across the world now, since we just did like a little bit of a overseas tour with Toronto, London, and Italy. But we do a lot of like pass the auxes, so we give independent artists chances to like meet each other, like play their songs in front of like Grammy nominated or Grammy winning like producers, engineers, artists, A&Rs and stuff like that. So our main focus is to just help. You know, just help.
Yeah, help give the independent artists an opportunity, because it's definitely rough to get those opportunities. Let me turn this on silent. I thought I had that.
It's okay. That was just a little affirmation that
just a little
being done and said here is on the right path.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I love how you said you come from a musical background. What time period did your dad make music in?
Yeah, so my dad came to Los Angeles from Louisville, Kentucky. Shout out Louisville. Nice. He came here in the 80s. I want to say it was 84.
Okay,
maybe.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. He took that flight, and yeah, he said, you know, he came with a dream and a talent. And so he made music throughout, like he was doing it around that time. They had a band.
Oh, okay.
Him and my Uncle George had a band.
Oh,
it was called Time in the 3 o'clock hour. Yeah, and they did some music. They got an opportunity to travel to France and play and do some things. And I believe they one time they had a gig, and they were opening for an act named Mary Carey. Mary Carey. So there was always kind of this discourse, was this Mariah? Was this, was this Mariah's sister? It never really got clear, so that was always funny. But yeah, those are a few key moments in his career,
Cool.
Yeah.
So he came out in the 80s, and one of the things that I started thinking about with music is how sometimes in different decades and different eras, there's different feels and different themes to music.
Definitely.
Especially since you two are both very musically invested. What do you think are some of the themes from music back then, like starting from like the 60s up until now?
Yeah.
Let's like discuss that. Yeah, like what do we think was the theme of music?
I'll look at my
let's go to that.
We start with the 60s.
Yeah, we'll go 60s. We can go back and forth.
So 60s, I feel like music was at a point where like, or even people were at a point where it was like starting to be more free thinkers and like more people that just like wanted to just do what they wanted to do with their own life.
Right.
You know, so that reflected in the music as far as like anybody that was coming out in that time. And then, you want to do 60s?
Yeah, I was going to say, what I had in my notes was like rebellion, social rebellion, exactly what you're saying. People start to become more independent in their thought and in their practices in life. We're coming out of a time where we were very tradition heavy. We're coming out of the 40s and 50s. So these are the teenagers whose parents were born in what era, you do the math, right? So we're kind of that first generation that's like, you know what, screw this. We're done with that. We want to be free.
I think that's why that certain era of music was so interesting to me, because it felt like it was so full of propaganda before that. And then this was when it started, becoming more independent. People coming out with their voice, their real stories. Even in stuff that sounds wholesome, like some of the doo-wop music, they're talking about sex, but in a really cute, demure and mindful way.
Very cutesy.
Demure is a thing in the last week. I've never heard anybody say that until Instagram this last week. Demure.
Well,
they got to work
been
the
with
socials,
us, just so you know. Yeah, demure has always been with us. But yeah, and I noticed even like in songs like Beach Boys songs, they're talking about sex, but like when we get married, we could do everything we want to do. And it's like, I think I know what they're saying. They're just saying it in a less explicit way.
Definitely. Right. That was just the time, you know.
Right.
Artists have always, I think artists have always found their way to be super expressive in the way they wanted to. But yeah, 60s is one of my favorite decades too. Hendrix is one of my favorite artists, and he came through heavy in the 60s, so definitely.
I don't know why I feel like I associate him more with the 70s though. You know, like
it
with
was
the
like
with the
tail end
with
of
the
60s,
tone,
but yeah,
with the tone of music that's going on.
Definitely
the
associated
70s
with
for
it.
me is like exploration. You know,
Yes.
psychedelics. Like
Definitely.
you know what I'm saying. Like that. I feel like that's what
Yep.
shaped the culture of the music in the 70s.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the 70s music specifically because when I was a young person, I always saw disco and like free love and all of that, and I just wanted to be a part of that, and I always felt like I was born in the wrong decade because I was like, damn it, why aren't we having sex like that all over the place? And then hence why you see the industry that I got into now. But yeah, that's something that I really loved about the 70s was that freedom, that exploration, that kind of psychedelic, like just lose yourself in the moment kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely the counterculture of it all. Definitely the dancing, the free flowing, the I think what you and I may relate to, and you might as well, just that femininity piercing through.
Yes,
You know?
actually, yeah, because I feel again like in the previous moments of time. You were restricted even up to the 60s. Like women weren't able to be super sexual and. Girl, that Minnie Ripperton song, she's basically having an orgasm on the track, you know?
It was very, the counterculture of it all, right.
And I just love that, and I could only imagine what that must have felt like experiencing that for the first time as a person in the 70s growing up, and you're hearing people, oh my God, this sounds like an orgasm, you know? In that like culture where there was still a lot of conservative values and ideas.
Right, and quite frankly, a lot of shame around women's bodies and our relationship with pleasure and sex.
There you go.
You know, just blatantly speaking. Yeah, you want to take us on to the 80s?
Into the 80s?
Yeah, what you think about the 80s?
That's when shit started getting grungy and real. You know what I'm saying? You gonna pop locking and shit?
Hit it. Hey, we didn't know you could dance now, brother.
I got a little rhythm, you know?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I got a little rhythm. But, so 80s, that's when a lot of different genres started spawning that are like really, really prevalent today. You know what I'm saying? As far as like grunge rock, rap, hip hop.
Speak on it, right?
You know what I'm saying? So like 80s really shaped what happened going into the 90s and even now today. You know what I'm saying? So 80s was a very important era. I mean, they really all are, but as far as like today's music and stuff like that, I feel like 80s really set the groundwork for what was coming.
Who are some of your favorite artists from the 80s?
From the 80s? I mean, I'm not listening to a bunch of artists from the 80s like that. I'm not going to lie. Don't? But nah, like...
You don't?
I mean,
You're
all right,
music?
you know, family reunions, barbecues.
Yeah.
You know, cleaning the house on Sunday. Like, that's where the 80s music comes into me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I throw on some Bob Marley. I throw on some I even... See, old school hip-hop for me, like... that East Coast rap...
Okay.
It was cool, like, but I wasn't really like diving into it like that. Like, I started like my dad listened to like a lot of like Motown stuff.
Of course,
and like he and
just
Tupac, like he used to make me write down Tupac lyrics. So
Are you serious?
Your dad used to make you write down Tupac
and then
lyrics?
fucking perform them. Like,
oh my God,
so I'm a little nigga.
Tupac was kind of deep though, so I kind of get where dad is coming from.
A poet.
I mean, so like that's how I feel like my musical experience was shaped. Like, you know what I'm saying? I came into the like 90, like I used to love like Redman, Method Man, like, you know, artists like that, like who still had like really like fun lyrics, like they're really still talking about real shit.
The real
you know
shit.
What I'm saying?
Well, before we get out the 80s, I can't
right,
leave the 80s
you
without
got to
speaking
just
on.
Yeah, I did.
There's so many people, right?
Thank
But
you.
but we
Thank
need
you,
that.
girl.
No, you're good. Like, I love it. I love the conversation. It's so free flow. But how can we talk about the 80s without talking about Prince?
I was gonna say Prince,
how can we not? How can we talk about the 80s without
my
talking
God.
about?
He is so
Michael
influential.
Prince,
I met someone recently that said they went to 13 Prince concerts in their life.
Wow, what a blessing!
Really? At first, I was like, "That's crazy," and then when I thought about it, I was like, "No, that's lucky.
That is lucky.
Literally, that is
13
lucky.
of them?
I haven't been to one, and I will never be.
Unfortunately,
You know?
I mean,
but
we could probably watch them on
them.
YouTube.
Right? Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, but I wanted to say about the 80s, I feel like I see when I've studied over time and like listened to, my elders talk about music and everything, we're gonna put our hair up. I need to catch up to y'all. The expansion of like just the death of gender norms. You know what I mean? What is the word? I can't believe I can't think of the word. What am I thinking? The word.
The androgyny.
Thank you. Yes, the androgyny of it all.
Because we don't use that term anymore.
The androgyny, we don't.
That was a term of the 80s.
Right.
Prince used to have his booty cheeks out. You know what I'm saying?
And the ladies, but you know what else Prince
had? And
had?
will take your woman.
The baddest
straight
bitches.
men still listen to him. And they didn't have no qualms.
You said
about
Prince
it.
had what?
The baddest bitches.
No, for sure. Apollonia?
Yeah.
Maite.
Yeah.
Okay. Sheila
Hold
Esposito.
Hold up. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Lindy and Lisa.
Wendy
and Lisa.
Yes.
I just need to say this name
Wendy.
because we kind of skipped over this name in a previous area. But I mean, she was still doing it in the 80s. But Pam Grier.
Pam Grier, bad
Yes.
bitch.
Pam Grier was
She's
essential.
still
Bad
flying
bitch.
like
Bro,
to
this day.
By the way, shout out to Pam Grier following me on Twitter, and that is
What?
Can we have a round of applause?
Oh yeah, that's dope.
It was so wild how I found out too. I think I was going to look to find out about the cafe in LA. There's like a Pam's Coffee Cafe. And I was like, is she associated with it? I don't want to give my money to someone. And then I went on Twitter and I was like, oh, she's following me. I was like, I guess she is associated with this coffee shop.
Yes.
So
Yeah, shout out Pam Grier.
she is a legend.
One of the baddest.
Definitely.
Yes.
So shout out
God,
to you.
and like all natural too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Shout
it was
out
a
to all
different time,
natural
definitely,
beauty,
definitely.
curves, womanhood.
I appreciate seeing a nice fro.
Oh,
You know?
definitely.
A
The
nice
natural
little
hair.
afro.
Do you? You appreciate the natural hair?
Of course.
Can
You love natural hair?
Yes, of
I
course.
can, of course. I'm a
I
black
was
girl.
raised by black people. What are you talking about? Don't give up the
We
light
just have
skin
to
piece.
make sure sometimes. 'Cause you never know.
You know, when we
never
get to
know.
talking about natural hair, it's a whole
Well, I'm
conversation.
into natural hair, natural face, natural
Yes,
body.
I see you're locked up. Nice.
Yeah, so-
Yes. Do you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Did your girlfriend have an afro?
No.
What does she have up there?
She got straight hair.
Oh, what's her ethnicity?
She's white.
Oh, okay.
No, all right, so check me out. No, all right, so I can't help just who I, ended up
Right.
loving, you know what I'm saying?
No, you
But
can't help.
I
Love
am
is
a fan
colorblind.
of, like, I'm pro-black, you know what I'm saying? So
Okay. Dr.
she
Umar
knows
would,
this. Oh, no, he wasn't
I
talking
agree
to
with-
me.
yeah, I don't
He
know.
wasn't
He
talking
would
to me.
talk to you. He
Yeah.
would just disagree with that, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
And
You're
that's a
fine.
conversation.
Umar wouldn't approve of his whole existence. You're already light skinned. You're already straight.
Yeah, but I mean, he said, like, so as far as, like,
I'm joking. I'm sorry.
Africanism, like, yeah,
sorry, I
Pan-Africanism,
didn't mean to
I already know this.
spawn a whole conversation.
I've done all this shit. Like, I used to research, like, Muslim stuff when I was coming up. Like, my dad was into being, like, he's not into, like, religion as, he's not diving deep into it. Like, this is exactly what I'm gonna do. But he lives his life by certain, like, he kind of
Beliefs
picks,
and
yeah,
habits
you know what I'm
and-
saying?
yeah,
So, like, I would go to
traditions that- yeah.
mosques, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
been to-
really? I've never been to a mosque
Baptist
before.
church. I've been to, like, so
Yeah.
many different kind of
Just
churches
a
and shit
lot
like
of
that.
things
Like,
under the black culture umbrella. Totally get that.
just exploring religion,
I just thought it was interesting to ask because it's like a lot of times when I hear people talk about natural hair, I'm like, how much do you love it? I'm just curious.
No, I love it.
But guess he does love it.
You do love it.
We can go ahead and let him keep his black card.
Yeah,
I
you
think
can
we
have it.
Oh, y'all gotta fight me in here for my
Yeah.
Y'all
no,
are crazy.
yeah.
So yeah.
I love that tangent that we just went on to about hair and
It's a deep
blackness
thing.
and
Yeah.
all of that.
It's all
What do
tied
we
in.
think about blackness in the 90s? As
In the
far as
90s, you
black
were tapping into it.
music? Yeah, you're already going there.
Yeah.
Method Man and Redman.
Method Man,
I
Redman,
can't disagree with you. They were super influential. That was when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and la 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 la,
Yeah.
like that song. That was our song.
Yeah.
We would literally be at the gas pump, being like, we have to play this song because there was a certain line in the song where it's like pumping gas or something like that. I don't know.
The culture.
Yeah, and it was just certain things, like when I got my
Yeah.
license when I was 16, I had to play the Goody Mob song, We Do 100 on the Highway.
You had to
Do 100
way
on the
around
highway.
it. At the
I don't know why I was so reckless, but you see
Right.
certain things like that, like you live through the music, right?
Definitely, yeah. And I feel like a lot of acts and a lot of people and artists that are budding now and doing great, huge things now. We were born in the 90s.
Yeah.
A lot of our favorite artists that are tastemakers today. So I think like the 90s is so huge. And I think we tap into that rebellion again, even in a more in a more like intense way, because we did have the Tupacs, we had the Lisa Left Eye Lopez, you know, we had the
burn your house down,
you know, and rap bars around your head. Let's speak on the music,
and you still didn't want me.
Yeah, so you know, just a lot going on with like us not taking anymore, and then how can we talk about the 90s without talking about the revolution, you know, and it being televised, and so many things in life are always like reflected in the art, you know. So yeah.
Speak on it, because especially in the early 90s, I would say late 80s, early 90s, there was like the issue with gangster rap being almost like illegalized in our country.
Stepping on CDs,
yeah,
and burning CDs.
I remember Al Gore and his wife like talking to Congress.
Yeah.
And that's literally how they got the parental advisory explicit label put on CDs, which was almost like it's like a cherry on top. It's like
it makes it
you're
better.
official.
The acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's like now you're official. It's
Gangsta
so funny
for
because
real.
it actually did the opposite effect of what they wanted it to
Made
do.
you want it even more.
Right, because you're like, oh, that's that real shit.
The psychology of it all. Right.
I'm not supposed to have this.
Right. It makes it more exclusive, right? It makes you want it even more. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's like it. The meaning behind all of that gangster rap and the cussing and all of that anger and whatever violence, which is what the outside people saw, is it was the revolution that was happening in the streets of like people speaking out about what they were actually living through.
We're talking about our experience. We're not just creating damaging music to hurt people and harm people. We're simply like letting our art reflect. Letting our lives reflect in the art. Yeah. You know, and if I think the point of contention was, or the rigidness of it came from, so you don't want to hear us talk about it, but what are we doing to get these kids out of this, you know, current space?
Yes.
What are we doing to bring more resources into these communities, you know, to make this experience, you know, not something that they have to go through?
Yeah.
You know, like we're mad, we don't want to hear about it, but we don't want to necessarily do much.
The steps to take people out of those lifestyles.
Give us a different exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they like to say they was reporting in the hood, you know. That's
they
what
were.
Ice Cube was saying.
Kind of
like,
were, actually.
bro, like we live these experiences. This is what we're going through. What else am I supposed to talk about?
Right.
True that.
I think that's where a lot of the authenticity and like self-expression for artists really pierce through too. Like, I would challenge anybody making music today I would ask them, how can you, you know, your authenticity, the freedom to express yourself how you want to express yourself, that comes from acts like NWA, not being afraid to like push the boundary and push the limit, give the people the music and give the world a chance to like create more opportunities for us now, like to be able to say what we want to say and do what we want to do with art and music, like everywhere. Now it's visual art. Now it's the content, the conversations we want to have. Like, so that's what I think about the 90s.
90s? Are we going into the 2000s?
I mean,
the 2000s is where,
we might as well dip our toes into the early 2000s.
Here we are.
Yeah, because they say at a certain age is when you start picking your music and what you're gonna listen to and what's gonna start like molding you.
Right.
True.
2000s is when I was like 99, early 2000s is when I started like getting my own like CDs. Like, shit.
Yeah,
you couldn't tell me I wasn't in Dipset when I was there.
God!
You're gonna have to drop a verse for us
Tell me I
sometime.
wasn't in Dipset.
Oh my God! My favorite line, Jewel Santana, was like, "Don't watch me, watch TV." I don't know why. It's so misogynistic.
Out, right?
It's so shitty of a line.
We
but
can
like,
talk about that.
But it does. It does send a little twang through the body. It does. I don't know. So
It does.
it's like-
Sends a little.
I never thought of that negatively. You know,
that line.
Well, I mean,
let's
like,
break down how it's misogynistic.
No, I mean, like, it could be negative because he's saying it to, like, a girl, essentially. Don't watch me and my moves and what I'm doing to make money. Watch TV, as in zone out.
Don't pay attention.
Don't pay attention. Be a little mindless and watch some TV.
That's what you took out of that?
A little bit. Like, if you want to go completely deep on, like, we're gonna
context
see,
of it
like,
all
what is
and,
he
like,
saying,
look
you
at
know,
the-
feminist mindset, you know? But in my, like, inner, deep down inside, kind of stupid, slutty self, whatever, I was like, oh, that's kind of hot, whatever. Just take care of business. I'll just be here watching my shows.
Word.
All right. Yeah, everybody can. I never thought of it like that. My thing was just like, it sounded just like some player shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't watch me, don't watch TV. Like, he might not have been talking to it. Well, how do you know he was talking
I
to
don't
me?
know. I'm a
could've been
woman.
talking
He's
to
talking to
haters.
me. He's literally talking to me.
Could have been just talking to haters, you
Who's
know?
he talking to? Joelle Santana.
Hey, yeah, zoom in.
Deep down inside.
She's zooming in.
I know.
That you were talking.
You were always talking to me.
Okay. You're going to have to come on this podcast. And then we'll talk to her some more.
Yeah, we gotta hash this out.
Hash this out.
Shout out Dipset. It's good Killer Cam too, you know.
I can read.
Especially Killer Cam. Oh my God.
Look, we're gonna take her back.
Man,
so you were in high school in the 90s.
In the 90s,
so
in the late
that,
90s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's that. You have that moment with it. It's usually like that's the music of your life.
We were like so in love with Cam, Mason, Betha. Like those were like the cute. And the fact that they have their own podcast now to this day.
Right.
Why am I not a guest on there? Why are
You're
you not a guest
on there?
You know,
right? It's all gonna happen.
Should and could and
it is
will.
going
you gotta
to
get on there and talk about
happen.
some sports or something.
She might know
you know what's
something about
funny?
some
You know
sports.
what? In my phone, I save all of my porn contacts as sports.
Wow.
So not
fun
porn
fact.
because that's like so explicit. Oh my God.
You gotta even say porn on TikTok now.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I say sports. So everyone I know from porn, I actually know from sports. So I can talk about sports. This is a sport, body sports, you know?
Body
You say we
sports.
play
Bam, them
one-on-one,
motorsports.
one-on-two, you know?
Right.
I wanted to read some keywords that I had for like the 2000s.
Yes, please bring us back into the music
Yeah, sure.
because we're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this is the love.
This
live,
is the
love,
free flow, yeah.
Laugh Lotus, you know?
And we're almost through there, and then we can really like vibe. Digital revolution, commercialization, globalization, and empowerment.
The digital revolution of music. Please, as an independent artist, speak on
Big
that
stuff.
because this is something
stuff.
that has definitely taken off in the 2000s. This is the realm
Yeah.
of music that we're talking about
Yeah,
now.
right.
You know, out of the 90s and in the 2000s, a lot of digital stuff happened.
Yeah.
I remember the early days, Napster, LimeWire. That's
Yeah,
how
I remember that.
You know,
Frostwire.
yeah, all those like
Bear
Still-
share.
Pirating
Okay,
music.
wow, yeah,
Bear
torrents,
share.
all that stuff. You know,
Torrents. Ooh, that takes me. That's some nostalgia.
right?
for
External
real.
hard
That's like my older
drives.
cousins talking about.
Having
Making
my,
our own CDs, you
know,
know, writing the
learning
songs on the
CDs.
CD.
Yeah, making special CDs for people that were special, all that good stuff. So yeah, the digital revolution really did change
It changed
music.
a lot. It changed.
How did it change it for independent
For an
artists actually
independent
getting
artist?
music out there?
Yeah, it definitely had a great effect. Like in the 2000s, especially in the early 2000s, an artist whose goal is to be successful is still, their journey is still a little bit more traditional, but an independent artist, right? And people who are consuming music. So we're still kind of in that space where we're going to the store and we're buying the CD, right? But for an artist, you now had like an opportunity to get it. You had an opportunity to take your career into your own hands. So we want to cite Master P, because that was a moment of revolution for the independent artist. Now we have the opportunity to burn these CDs and get them to the public.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could go deeper into like the science as far as like engineering and like how music is recorded and how it used to be more layered, and we got more into like a mix type of culture with recording the music.
So would you say from layering to mix, is it easier or harder?
We definitely have gotten more dynamic, and I'll say harder these days, because it used to just be like you're layering right on top, which is why in the vinyl it's scratched right in there. Whereas now, you know, Kanye is doing certain things, but you can't just hear a song and rip the lyrics out. You know what I mean? You can't like just take the lyrics out of the layer.
Like layer
it's
by
mixed
layer
in there, right?
Oh, I see what you're
Are
saying.
you talking about the stems? I thought with stems you can like individualize everything that you're doing.
Right, when you're in a DAW, but like how they used to record music in the 60s was a little different. And so the 2000s is where we really saw that change on the back end with making music, with people consuming music. And then you're talking about the birth of pop stars. You're talking about tabloids. You're talking about celebrity meaning a different thing in the 2000s.
Yeah,
you know?
it did. It changed everything, not just music. I noticed with fashion and stuff.
Fashion,
everything started being celebrity driven.
Very celebrity driven, very brand driven, I think, before we even really had the words to describe it, but very, very much the birth of pop star.
That part.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I think about it.
I feel like that's all that, it's like an evolution of just like technology and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, because back in the day you wanted to know more about the artists that you were listening to and the people that you listened to, like, but now they have social media, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
there's
like
more,
2010s.
there's
now, right,
more access to like people's lives.
That's a perfect way to like segue us into the 2010s. Like there's now it's just completely different, and that's where we can really ground in, and I can really tell you more about the experience being an independent artist in a time where anyone can be an artist. Anyone can make music.
It's almost just like the porn industry.
It's a double-edged sword.
It's oversaturated.
It's extremely oversaturated. It's a double-edged sword. I, as a creative person, I never want to say that someone shouldn't explore their talents, but that's not going to change the fact that it makes it harder.
Though. Right.
You do have to have talent, but do you? When talentless people are getting opportunities that independent artists that have worked years and decades are not.
Honestly,
do you have to have talent in today's time to be successful? Not necessarily.
Honestly, I have something to say on that, because that is so true in so many realms and industries in this world.
Right.
A very good example is recently, the Huac Ta girl got so famous.
Oh my holy Lord.
She was able to command $30,000 appearances at different events and whatnot. But she's also not
the disparity is
really ready for the kind of fanfare and attention that she's got, so she's kind of pulled back. But for those of you that don't know, Huac Ta is like the fucking sound that you make when you're
it's not Huac.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, this is a smart bitch right here. This is
I try my best.
No, it's like the sound that you make when you're prepping for an oral exploration of someone else's member.
Yeah,
so,
the way that she just said that, can we have a snap and round of a snaps for the way you said that? I love a linguist.
Right, thank you.
She PC'd the shit
I
out
also
of that.
heard you in my left ear.
Yeah,
I did hear you.
Just keep it simple. She spitting on the dick.
Right, she did. So the thing is, she got
honestly,
famous for that off of just
her.
a random interview. But just like
consumption,
you said,
the way we're consuming
there are
things
independent artists, independent porn stars, and adult performers that have been literally in the trenches, literally, actually, factually doing that shit for reals. Yeah. And they don't have that kind of platform where they could command a $30,000 appearance at some speaking convention or whatever.
It's very sad.
And it's just for a moment of going viral. And is there talent?
Virality.
I don't know. Have we seen the video of her
the sustainability of it
to know that she could even back up her prowess?
Right.
I don't know.
Wait,
I don't know if we'll ever.
Is she gonna drop a Huac 2 track?
Yes, she is. And it's going to piss me off.
Video?
I don't care anymore. It's going to piss me off. It's going to piss all the
But that's just like, from my point of view, something that I've seen that affects people in our area and industry, where it's like, oh, okay, she could get famous for not even doing the act, just vocally, audibly referencing it.
Right.
And those of us that really do it are shadow banned.
Let me just say this, right? Because like looking at her, I don't really think she don't really look like she that good at it. I'm not gonna lie. That's not somebody I would want to hit. I don't mean that. With all due respect.
This is a man with a white girlfriend, so he might know.
With all due respect, my girl got seasoning on her, right? She got seasoning.
She Italian.
Nah, she coming to the barbecue though. That's for sure. She gonna blend in. She fine.
To come out
she is thinking beautiful. I will give it.
Thinking beautiful. You know.
Have you ever dated a black woman?
Of course.
Oh,
yes.
okay, nice.
I was mostly like black, Latino, like you know what I'm saying. Like,
okay.
So
would you call yourself pro-black, or would you say more you're open?
I've been around so many different kind of ethnicities, so it's like I've been the lightest person at the school. I've been the darkest person at school at one time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I know. I know. But, so like for me, it's just more of a vibe. It's more of a vibe. Like I do have preferences, like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't let my preferences like block some pussy I was getting. You know what I'm saying? So
oh dear, don't let that
be a man.
That's like all it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I have grown to see less color in my experiences too, and I definitely came up out of pro-black household where I had, I was raised to have an affinity for black love, and I always will honor and respect that. But I do feel myself, growing in other directions and being more open, because, you got to be open to what life wants to give you. And there's always going to be, things about our culture and ideas and theories, and just going deep down to the psychology of how humans work. There's always going to be things, that come up. Yeah. But It's a journey. I think it's a beautiful journey. So
it is. I'm loving this conversation.
Yeah, we flowing.
I too am open, just so that's established. I date all kinds of people. It's fun. It's fun to know what everyone else has in their experiences and to kind of play that off of each other.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you said that, because you had a face of judgment over there while I was over describing who I was. Yeah. But come to find out,
what?
Yeah, I'll mess with a white boy or two.
Okay, cool. Ain't nothing wrong.
I date for lifestyle.
Yeah, no, it's lifestyle and treatment of me. Are you treating me like the princess that I am?
Yes.
All right.
Well, that's perfect. I can't
Beautiful.
complain.
Yes. It's a blessing to have a good
Shout out
partner.
Criddle.
Shout
Go
out.
listen to her music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what is her name? So
shout her out.
If she has music, we're talking about music and independent artists right now.
She goes by the name Criddle. She's actually doing kind of like a little change now. Like she's doing more like kind of like rock music and stuff like that, and it's been super dope. Just talking about like she's over smacking the shit out the mic. But just seeing her evolution of what she's been over the last. How long has she been
making music?
Shit, she's been singing her whole life. Like basically, she
nice.
started off doing like classical shit, so she can whisper.
Classically trained,
So like
soprano,
she can hit.
alto.
I'll be like, I'll see people singing. I'll be like, man, I'll put my girl against any one of y'all.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So
it pays to. It's as an independent artist, it definitely pays to have like a partner that like works in a space that you work, because you can funnel opportunities to her.
And I do all the camera work too. So it's like all her
definitely
pictures,
that
videos,
helps in
music
this
videos.
era,
Definitely.
because as we were saying, it's like you become your own content creator,
you
marketer,
have to wear
like
so many different
networking,
hats.
like all these things. And I think just as much as with music, which is why I'm excited to have you here and talk about this.
Yes.
It has such a correlation with other entertainment industries like mine, the adult industry, where things used to be handled by studios and executives, and they took care of everything, and you just show up and do the talent part.
Right.
And now you as the talent are doing all of that yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you have more independence, you have more flexibility, you can have more control of your schedule, but at the same time, you're on top of your schedule. You're on top of how much money you make,
your branding,
your opportunities.
You're managing yourself,
you're the one sending those emails out. Yeah.
You're doing all of your admin tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're living in a time where the question is asked, is this sustainable? Because you have to wear so many hats. It's actually really rough. And I think I know, it's my intention to brand very heavily as an independent artist, because a lot of artists, they think that they're separating themselves by just flexing and showing like what they've achieved for themselves and what they can do and things like that. I decided to be more vulnerable, because that's always been my thing. And I show, in my series, which is on YouTube, everyone can see it. It's called the Indie Artist Chronicles, Indie Chronicles. I show the things that people don't. I show you the things that people don't tell you about. The struggles, how hard it is, being a griot in your city, having OGs that you go to for advice. The things that people don't see, how stressful it can be, the burnout that comes along with trying to do all of the things that it takes to be successful, wear so many hats, and even the burnout that comes with trying to network as much as you can and trying to be seen in a space and in an industry that is oversaturated, like you said, and just it's a journey. You really have to fall in love with the journey, and you have to motivate yourself by just positive examples in the media, people who have walked before you and done it before you. And Victoria Monet had an interview that just dropped.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. Shout out Victoria Monet. And she talked about, taking the streets or the freeway. And it's taken her 15 years to have this, what consumers will deem as big moment. People that have been following her for a long time know that she's had so many huge moments where we have been so proud of her, for achieving the things that she has achieved. And she's behind so many amazing songs that so many people love. She's written, But, having this big moment, but how long did it take her to get there? She was talking about, just going back to what we were speaking about, the Hawk to a Girl and, all of these microwave acts, what is the longevity in it?
Yeah.
I think is what you were saying. It was like, it'll burn out quick. Beyonce was even talking about that. She's like, all these microwave acts, they put out a couple of hot singles and they burn out quick.
Yeah.
And it's like, Victoria Monet was speaking on that. Do you want to take the freeway to your destination and just get there and just have your moment really quick?
Man.
Or do you want to take the streets and know a little bit more about where you've been and where you're going and what to expect?
Shout out Janelle Monáe.
Shout out Janelle Monáe, Money
acting
Mall.
her ass off too. She's in these movies doing
Yeah.
that.
Oh, really? I haven't seen.
Yeah, she's doing that thing. Yeah,
I'm
she's
gonna
like
have to
Glass
check it out.
Onion, and when I tell you, every time she was on camera, they had the camera on that face
face.
because she was bringing face.
I mean,
Everything.
she serves face, body, everything.
Yeah, she's
I'm
fine.
mesmerized by her latest music videos. They're just incredible, and we're also living in an era where music videos aren't as impactful as an important.
Definitely
as they used
not
to be.
as they used to
Like
be. Oh
they
my
used to
gosh.
be everything in the 90s. I remember growing up, and it would be like a movie premiere, like the Bone Thugs and Harmony first of the month music video. I remember that. I remember that because I remember the guy I had the crush on in high school, and I texted him. I was like, "Did you see the video?" You know, like,
Oh wait. The question is though, what phone did you text them on?
no, not text. We didn't text.
What
That's right.
was it,
I
a
think I
beeper?
sent him like an email or something.
Oh.
This
I
was
was
in the
gonna
early
ask.
days of the internet, and I
love
remember I
asking.
sent him a message.
Yeah.
So it had to have been like a chat room message. Now that I'm thinking of it, it was
I
a
love
chat
that.
room
Love that.
message.
But you're so right. The videos used to have so much more. And I always try to, I love going into depth when I write my treatments for my videos because I want to get back to that.
Yeah.
I want to get back. I never want to drop anything that's just so, boring and just surface. It's like, can we get back to the days when our eyes were glued at the screen? Like,
Right.
Well, I mean, see, the thing is with today is people is on the screen too much. So people's attention span
Definitely.
is over like that.
Right,
So
and things-
with the visuals, you have to catch their attention in the first
Instantly.
3 seconds.
Honestly,
Yeah,
sometimes
it's
I
kinda
think
sad.
when people try too hard with visuals, for me, especially on TikTok, like it's too overproduced in a way where I'm like, this is not interesting. You know, I
Right,
can tell
right.
there's so many special effects in this
Yeah.
30-second video that I'm actually unimpressed.
Jesus.
So it does like the
I'm
opposite
unimpressed.
effect. Yeah.
Well, I can say
You tried
shooting music videos and being a person that's just loved movies, music videos, growing up and stuff like that. Like I used to study them, not knowing that
Right.
eventually I would shoot them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person of. All right, just think of the Big Pimpin' video. That was one of the first video, $1 million music videos.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no special. It's just straight cuts. There's no
They're just on a boat.
They're not doing a transition that's just crazy as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not
all the
flipping
shit.
and reversing
Yeah.
and appearing
So-
and reappearing, disappearing.
Yeah, so shooting the music videos now, my style, unless the artist asks for that specifically, I'm gonna give you you know what I'm saying, just
standard.
more of a Not, I wouldn't say standard, but it's more of a kind of cinematic feel to me.
More of a-
instead of,
cinematic is
I don't
always
like all
great.
the
Okay, cool.
neon lights on it and shit, doing
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's not really my style of music. And
Yeah.
I might be aging myself, saying shit
No,
like
yeah.
that, but it's just that's just what I feel is more visually appealing
Yeah.
than all these weird ass transitions, flips. So I appreciate good shots.
Right.
I definitely appreciate good shots, but there's a point where I'm just why so many effects? Why so much?
Maybe
Why
bullshit?
so
just
many effects?
yeah,
Yeah.
so many. Maybe there doesn't need to be one on every cut. Maybe just
Yeah.
one good transition.
People are
Yeah.
trying so hard
Yeah.
to stand out in just in a crazy oversaturated space, and they're trying so many things. Thank you. And I think the best option is to really rely on your creativity.
Yeah.
It starts with the art.
Yeah.
It starts at the art. That can really separate you. That can really separate you.
One thing that I had a question on, because it started reminding me, since we were talking about the 90s and growing up, I remember when I was growing up back then, there was a lot of talk in the media about how music was to blame for a lot of the negative behaviors around young people that was happening at the time, whether it be teenage pregnancies or getting into gangs because of gangster rap, or even the horrible stuff that would happen with school shootings. They blamed that on Pearl Jam and Marilyn Manson. Do you see any kind of actual correlation where you think music affects and influences people's actual behaviors out in society?
I think that to say that, music, we do this thing as human beings where we connect things so closely that may be more of a domino effect. If anything, I gotta stick to, life and art, just being very reflective of one another.
True.
I feel of course, the trauma that someone's endured influences them to do some, do negative things that we might say or what I'll say is our experiences as human beings influence us to make the decisions that we make in our lives. Yeah. I'll say that. I feel like it's very easy for people to say that like music influences, you know, certain things because music is so powerful.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean that's what I think. What do you think?
My take on it is you can't blame stuff on music. People have been making crazy ass movies for forever. They're out here murdering people, killing people, running over people with cars, stabbing them up.
Yeah,
that's in movies, and those are visuals. You know what I'm saying? So
Video
it's like,
games, all types of stuff.
all that stuff. So I'm just like, yo, for the person that like, or for the time where they were trying to blame stuff on music specifically, I'm like, I just always felt like movies were more
gory.
Yeah,
we were
like
gonna blame.
Yeah. I don't want to blame anything because I have an independent mind, and I'm not just like something's not gonna just make me go. Do something.
I mean, I've seen Saw, and I'm not
trying
to saw somebody's arm off and lock them in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and you know, I think the good thing about music is that if we can say that, we can also say that music. There's so many positive, you know. Empowering, like healing aspects to music as well.
There's way more.
Way more. That's a great.
Oh my God, I love how you just turned that because that's actually true, and it's so interesting that maybe a lot of life's positivities are not attributed to music, but it's just used as a scapegoat when things go wrong.
When things go wrong, right.
Yeah, like when there is no answer, then it's obviously it has to be the art, it has to be the movies, the music, the this, the that,
they want
the
to blame
porn.
somebody.
Music. They want to blame somebody, right?
They want to blame somebody.
You know, because the culture is so influenced by it. You don't have it without the art. You don't have, you know, the soul of life without art.
Right.
So,
and I think it's interesting how you said like life imitates art, art imitates life. Like all of that is to say like if there is something that people feel like they want to blame on music or porn or whatever influence, I feel like that's just a reflection of society, and we probably need to look at ourselves.
Definitely.
And the way we are actually addressing things.
Yeah.
Whether it be like teenage angst and frustration and how they deal with school shootings or bullying or whatever, or even just like modern hookup culture, because I feel like like a lot of like that is what we deal with or hear about nowadays as far as music's negative influence. They say that it contributes to today's modern hookup culture, and
that's a good point. That's a good. That we should definitely speak
falling
on that.
in love or whatever, like they did maybe in those early days of the 60s.
Right, but it's really about what you listen to, though. You know, it's the same conversation when people say, "Well, is R&B dead?" It's like, no, but you're only listening to the people on top Billboard 100. Are you doing the work to go and find independent artists in your community who are making this music, or different artists in different genres that are making the music that you're looking for? Or are you looking at what society has at the forefront and making a generalization about everyone in that space and in that industry? You know, I can name
it's easy to do that though, like as a person that's like, just say somebody in Nebraska, you know what I'm saying? They're not like gonna be searching. They might have a real passion for R&B music, like 90s, you know, Keith Sweat and all that. I wanna be,
I get that, but
they don't know really like how to. They just know like they might still listen to the radio, like you know. So
I would say
they might not know how to search.
Well, have they though? Because I feel like, you know, the way that we consume music has changed and advanced so much. You know, do they really have an excuse? Because how are you consuming your music? What's the percentage of people that are, you know, not utilizing some sort of streaming service or even YouTube or SoundCloud?
Well, let's just say if they have Spotify or something, right? Spotify tries with their little algorithm to give you some shit they feel like you might like, but majority of the time they're just giving you stuff that's in your saved. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. So you have taken yourself to that song and listened to it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, okay, they like this song. Right. I'm gonna give them something that sounds like that. It might not be somebody that's unknown though.
Right.
You know?
But just like you went and you typed in that artist that's on Billboard, you can go and you can use that same phone and go to another tab and say R&B artists, you know, or you can go and explore. I think we have more freedom to explore different things that we you know, that we may not be aware of these days. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I would give them that out, you know, just because they live in Nebraska.
I'm just trying to give nobody out. I'm just trying to give different perspectives, you know?
Yeah.
I really love this analogy that you're bringing up, because to me, I love to keep bringing it back to my industry, the adult industry. It's this analogy that I always present to people when they talk about like, oh, well, how can you differentiate like well-produced, ethical porn from just like what's readily available, kind of like what you're saying with music. And I feel like the thing is like what's readily available on the tube sites, what's readily available on the radio is like Halloween candy on a table. It's colorful, it's flashy, and if you see it there every day, of course you're gonna grab a handful and eat it. You're not gonna be able to resist. You're not even gonna think about it. You're not gonna necessarily crave candy, but if that's what's there on the table, front and center, you're gonna grab it. Those colorful Reese's Pieces, like wrappers, they're just too irresistible. You're gonna forget that there's food in the fridge that you have to like take time to maybe research a recipe and get the ingredients and put them together and chop it up. And that's the same amount of time and effort it takes to like research good independent music or research well-produced ethical porn. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of digging. It takes a little bit of different navigating of different apps and looking at different forums and what people are talking about to be like, oh, this artist is bullshit. This production company is whack. This is where it's really at. This is where I should be and put my money and invest.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's about like the level of intention that people care to exercise in their daily lives. You know, does one care to like even look for that? And it definitely translates to like how someone like myself makes music, because it's like, you know, we're talking about pop and R&B. Like I am, you know, definitely soulful in R&B, but like throughout my journey, I realized like, oh, I have to make pop hits if I want to grow.
I mean, Kendrick himself knows that formula.
Okay, so it's like, exactly.
You have your deep cuts.
You have your deep cuts.
But then also some stuff that
because the goal is to, the general pop, because the goal is to stimulate the masses. Yeah, come on.
Pause.
You know?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, you know. And I'll also say, you know, what's one thing that I've like discovered just through my journey with being an independent artist. Artists have a different relationship with music. I feel like there's layers to like how our relationship with music as human beings. You have people who just consume music. You have people who consume and make music. You know, like you have people have a different relationship and connection with music. Like me being an independent artist and someone who's done this for over a decade, it's like, I know to look deeper, you know, but like, I get what you're saying too, where it's like, you know, some people just listen to what makes them feel good. Yeah. Some people just listen to what comes on the radio, you know? So I think it has a lot to do with like what your relationship to music is.
Man, that is such powerful stuff.
It is.
I'm blown away by our conversation, and I'm really loving all of this, and I feel like we could continue talking more and more about all kinds of subjects.
All types. I want to ask you questions. Really?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I want to ask you about your industry.
She like flipped the script and became like a little interviewer herself.
Me? Did I?
Yeah, you asking me questions.
Yeah, because it's like, you know,
she's asking music questions. She's asking reading questions. Like she's a fucking interviewer herself.
I did a little journalism.
It's a good conversation. Like that's what this needs to be. Just a good conversation that flows well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what has been the most pivotal point of your career in your industry?
Whoa. Wow. So many pivots. Let me think. That's a big question. Pivotal point in my career, I would think it would be when I started working for Free Speech Coalition. Honestly, Free Speech Coalition is the adult industry's trade organization, so we set the production and testing standards at the time. Now the testing is a separate entity, but we also do the political organizing and fighting against legislation that would otherwise see our industry be illegal or wiped out. So we basically keep the industry legal. And it's a lot of lobbying and organizing around so many different laws and bills that come up around trying to over-regulate our industry, which basically is just ways of trying to make us cease from existing. I think that was the pivotal change in my career. I started working at Free Speech Coalition in 2017. Nice. In January, so like January 1st, 2017. I remember pitching my role to the then executive director, Eric Paul Loya. because at the time, FSC did not have anyone of the adult industry, performer-wise or anything like that, that represented them, that kind of informed them of the things that they were doing. So they might have been setting production standards that weren't really in line with the way modern production was being held, or the way people even like perform or do things. And there were things that maybe people need, or maybe awareness around certain things like boundaries and consent, or knowing what you should pay attention to in your contract or not, or how much of your contract is actually legal and binding, things like that. They didn't have an adult industry performer representative working with them, so a lot of the directives that they gave were from like top down.
Right.
So I proposed my position.
Disconnected with the people that are really making this go, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I proposed my position as industry relations advocate to kind of be that liaison between the performer.
You proposed a position?
Yeah, I created my position.
So you really like, what is that? I forgot what it's called. You pioneered something that didn't exist.
Yeah. I did. I did create my position. Yeah, because I just saw there was a void in information that they were dispelling and that they were getting. And also I felt like I had, at least by then, 5 years of experience. Wow. Yeah. And I was at the point where I was either going to quit the industry because of some negative, weird things that had happened, or I could help. And that I felt like helping would be so much better. And I'm so glad that I did, because with that, I was able to create programs and things that help people, especially new people in the industry, navigate and avoid a lot of the common pitfalls that make people feel like the adult industry is such a negative space, which it doesn't have to be. Right. The only reason it's negative is because of the scammers that have been able to thrive, and they've only been able to thrive not because of the adult industry itself, but because of the stigma that exists outside of our industry. So when something bad happens to people in our industry, and when a violation happens, when criminal activity happens against us, we can't really report it to the police, because when we do, they don't take us seriously.
They don't take it seriously.
They're like, oh, well, that's the life you chose. That's what you stepped into. It's what
not.
Yeah, no. It's like, imagine saying that to a cop, like, oh, he died. Like, that's what he signed up for. You know, and that's the way they look at us, honestly. So,
now you ask yourself, which scenario makes more sense? Comment below. Which scenario? I want to know. Someone who signs up for active duty in the line of fire,
or just signs up to give people pleasure and activate an inner sense of power and purpose that we may not know we have inside ourselves, and we can explore it.
Yeah. Confidently,
you know.
That's why we need people that's doing what you're doing to change things for the better.
Thank you. Well, Aste, this has been such an incredible conversation. I can't even call this an interview, because having you here today was just such a great time between the three of us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you both for having me. Thank you for having me.
Please let the audience know where they can find more of you and what they can look forward to.
Yes. So you can find me everywhere on IG at Aste. So you can either put in ASTE, all caps. IG, I'm AsteMariii, ASTEMAR, 3 eyes. And I also want you all to tap into my brand, Femme Noir Sound. Our tagline is documenting Black herstory. And we are a music and media brand that serves to create space for more independent artists. So, you know, funneling more opportunities in. If you want to check out my music, I'm everywhere. I'm on every platform. I strongly urge you tap into my last EP, the Warmer EP. I did record and produce all of it on my own.
What was the song that starts with an S? I feel like that's my favorite. I can't
Sexual
think of it.
Healing? No. Shape.
Yeah, I was like,
Shape
it's a
was
one
a big
word.
record.
Yeah, it's a one word sound.
Shape was my pop record. That's when I intentionally. Thank you so much. So yeah, y'all can check me out there. Tap in there, and just thank you for having me.
And I will say another favorite of mine.
Yoni.
Yeah, oh my God, Yoni. Put your face.
Look, he's looking like he's never heard my music, y'all.
I want to be involved.
Tell him to listen to my music.
Yeah, Yoni is the one. That's the one that will call in your inner goddess spirit. For all of you goddesses out there, that's the one.
Yes, thank you to everyone too who supported me around that time, and just that femme-centered empoweredness. It was great to connect with community throughout that time.
So we are so grateful.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Thank you for having me and creating spaces for independent artists like me to come on and like have conversations and share my thoughts. And yeah, I really do appreciate it.
I'm a co-host, Bundy McBucket. Shout out to Lotus.
Yeah, shout out
and
to
our wonderful guest.
Yes, AsteMariii.
Let's
Cheers
go,
to
y'all.
you and independent artists everywhere.
Yes.